Click. Tick top. Share new tab. Yes. How about that? Right then. Good evening. Thank you everybody for coming along. I'm Matt. This is what we're talking about. Family rules are okay. If you've read it, then you'll know what we're talking about. If you haven't read it, you're going to probably spend the next hour scratching your head, wondering what the heck we're up to. But that's all right. Timothy, the question of the evening, because I haven't spoken to Timothy this office sort of video, and we haven't chatted. Now let me see if can we adjust these pictures any. Well, we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure there's a way of picture in picture. Start picture in picture. I have no idea what that means, so I'm not going to push that button, especially being live. This will do for me. So, Timothy, question 1. Why did you come? You crazy lunatic. You could have been doing so many other things. Why did you come?
I have to give the credits to Hank Belyars. He came as a demonstration to one of my trainers from NLP, and I was so fascinated in the way he did his magic. And when he came by, he said he was going to do a weekend with you, and he explained a little bit about what he was talking about, and he was so convinced that I was like, yeah, I have to be there. He brought it so like how he explained it and how he said you worked and how he put it all together. It was very convincing. So I like all the videos on family rules I followed and watched, and I thought it was rather interesting. But it is funny to know. What I found very interesting is that everything that came in the how do I say this right? The 3 days that we were busy had actually it had to do a lot with the videos that I saw, but also had nothing to do with the videos that we saw. So that above all, I was actually rather surprised at what we ended up discussing and speaking about, and so that's how I came across.
So that was your why for wondering. So you said it had the format for the 3 days. Yeah. Lisa came up with, not me.
Oh, really?
I spent a full day writing absolutely nothing to do with the course. And then I presented it to Lisa, and she looked at me and said, what about the family rules course? I said, well, I thought, she said, look, so you wrote the book. Why not base the training on the book? I thought, wow, what an amazing idea. What an original concept. So I'm just shaking your head now, and she's just shaking your head still. Because I thought, well, and that's what we did. So the 3 days literally follows the book. But what it doesn't do is we do our best to bring the book to life, but it doesn't do the hypnotic pieces, or what I call the de-hypnosis. Because a lot of people, as you realize, are already in a trance. You're fast asleep. So when I interrupt that trance, your system wakes up. However, you go to sleep. So consciously you're present and you're breathing, but because I've broken the trance, you're now aware of a whole chunk of information you were unaware of. And I think that's the fun of it, because I think called NLP, for you guys who are watching, neuro-linguistic programming, they chat about a deletion filter. But the deletion filter I discovered all those years ago was the piece that family rules deals with. And that's basically what we uncovered with Timothy. So when you read in the introduction of the book, I I explain how I'd be chatting to a client just like this, the same pace, the same volume, and the client would look at me and say, "Excuse me,
God.
sorry, I didn't quite hear you." But what they were actually saying was that the challenge was nothing had changed, my volume's the same, the pace is the same. However, they were unable to hear me. So the deletion filter was jamming. So from basically 3 feet away, their system blocked that information coming in. Now, I've chatted about it. I'm looking, there's Nick there. Nick's been on a few of my trainings. And Masita, so you heard me chat about it, and Jen. You've heard me chat about it, but I've never been able to catch one live to do a genuine demonstration. And then Timothy walks up to me. I was in the break, and basically says, as they do, best time to catch me. And he says, could you work with it? And I just said, stop there, tell me no more, and we'll work with it on stage, correct? That was it.
It was exactly that, to be honest. I said, I only said something with my stomach.
Oh, sorry, I even missed that bit until the next day.
Oh, really?
I was too busy looking at your face to notice what your hands were doing. So the expression on your face was so wonderful. Do I need an account? Somebody messaged. No, you just click a button. If you're in here, you're definitely in. So what we were looking at then is what is in the deletion filter, or for the hypnotists in the room, how do we de-hypnotize a person who's lived their life in a trance? Ooh, now that's got to be interesting. So here's believe it or not, most people are living in a trance. The question is it a trance that are you thriving in that trance, or are you suffering? Do you have good quality health, or is it poor quality health? You see what I mean? Do you have plenty of energy throughout the day and at the end of the day? Are you sleeping well? There's so many, you see what I mean? And so the idea of forming this group was to basically give people more insight into why you'd read the book, and actually a bit of more instruction, because within it, I've had a lot of people say, pal of mine just this morning, that wasn't me. Pal of mine just this morning, he's read it 3 times and he just pinged me, so that made me chuckle. Literally, as I mentioned, he's pinged on there. So he's read it 3 times and is still not getting there. So for some reason, he's trying to get in, said it won't let him sign in. No idea. So I'm just going to hang on and pop this into him, because I can work live. But now that's him back again. So you're sitting there. I've asked you for the 5th time probably a question, Timothy, and you're looking at me and you go, what was going through your head? By the way, this is our first conversation, so we've never had this chat.
It's funny. You let me rewatch the video. I literally could, and I'm kid you not, and I'm a very talkative person. I couldn't speak. I literally sat there and I could not get it out of my mouth, and I started breaking out, like sweating. You see in my shirt, like it's like totally, and I was scared. I was extremely scared. I remember that as well. And rewatching it, I kind of felt that feeling of kind of got scared again. I'm gonna die, but not that dramatic.
Dramatic enough for your system to think you're about to die. And that's why you get that overload, that you're all that, because the trance is set up by a child, not by the adult. So as soon as we go near that, your primitive response, the mechanism is literally screaming, get us the hell out of here. But instead of running, you're in a freeze response, which basically tells us that it had to have happened when you were so small that you couldn't fight and you couldn't run. And then it transpired it actually happened whilst you were in the womb. So that was kind of cool.
It was actually not at the moment, not that cool. It was, yeah, but it was, yeah, it was crazy how you kept on coming close. Because every time you come close, I thought, okay, wait, I'm not gonna die. And then you went away again, and then I was like, oh wait, I'm gonna die.
And then now you see, that's the fun of the. I realized when I put the process together was I had to maintain connection with you. But we've got to bear in mind the observing eyes are not the adult's eyes. The observing eyes are the child's. Now, if there's any parents are in the room here, you'll know when the kids were tiny, if you walked 5 or 6 feet away, they could go, ah. If you trying to, I'll just go make a cup of tea. Well, not when you've got a toddler because they want to be there. So every time I came back in, your sister went, and we're only talking a total list, maybe 5 meters altogether, to 15 feet, something like that, a metric. But it's not a big distance, but it's big enough for the primitive brain to panic, say, I am alone. So that's why if you watch me on film, you watch me, I'll keep coming in and going out. In and every time I came in, I kept touching you on the lap, just kept making contact. You there. You go, I'm here. I'm just going over here. And you're like, beautiful. And remember when I turned to the audience and I said, well, look, if any of you are bored, you better leave now because this is what you paid for. And you could hear a pin drop. The place was just frozen. So anything else came to you? Because I was just excited.
It's kind of crazy how the exact words, like the first sentence I could say, because I still can't. I have what you said to me on the back of my phone. How do I know it can be? I still can't, with my mind, understand why I wasn't able to say that sentence. Because the first part I could, the second sentence part I couldn't.
And there are still mics on. There may be a few mics on, gang. Just I can't see everyone. So if you're sitting in the stalls, if you want to switch off your mic, that might make life easier. So if you give me 1 second, I'll just check this chat. Hi, I cannot see or hear you all. I can't hear anyone. Do I need an account? No. There are still mics who are on and making noise. Can everyone mute, please? So I think that's probably it. Yeah. And maybe just a quick one for the guys who are, if you're in, you're in. But if it's not coming on, you might need to set your permissions, which would be maybe a security setting inside your phone or inside your computer. That's the best I can give you because technologically I'm just not the guy. So back to Timothy. Yes, the sentence. The sentence. Now, the reason I'll answer this very vaguely, and the reason I'll answer vaguely is because if I answer specifically, people will write it down and then it will become gospel according to Matt. And right, you see what I mean? People then Matt said, right, and then they'll draw their own conclusions from it. Whereas I'd sooner suggest that if you watch from the beginning, every word that comes out of my mouth is based on the very last thing you did. That's it. You check. Right. So, wait, right. So it's based on the very last thing you did. So that was my stuff isn't rocket science. It's based upon building a communication from your subconscious. Now, the thing is, you're not conscious of the very last thing you did, but that's not my problem. You should live a more conscious life, my young man. So when I was speaking to you then, your mind goes, yeah, 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 yeah. Now, consciously, you're like, what the hell's happening? It's a bit like if you ever see a stage hypnosis show, you know, you see the guy walking about like a chicken or a washing machine or whatever. And the guy, when you ask afterwards, he has no recollection of it.
Matt, I can't hear you anymore.
No one can hear you, Matt. Matt, you've gone silent. Once I've got the mic on because you can hear them breathing and typing.
Two, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, there's another button I didn't know I had. So, volume better now?
Yes, perfect.
Right, there we go. It had connected out. Someone has their mic. Anyway, I'm still chatting. Me and Timothy, join in if you can. So the trance, as soon as I yes, we can hear you now. Thank you. Yeah, as soon as I introduce you to the deletion filter, this is where family rules kicks in. Because, and I'll explain it very simply, that rule structure sits here. Now, no one is allowed to enter that piece because if you go beyond it, you might die. That's the message.
You know, it's kind of, can I fill into that? The moment you said, can we speak to it on stage?
Yeah.
You walked away. And from that moment on, I was scared. I was like, I don't remember anything, like barely anything till I got home late at that day.
Terrified, tiny little baby inside a 6-foot body, tiny little baby shaking and terrified. Now, by the way, this isn't promoting the course very well. Because I always say, there are people who would sooner go diving with great white sharks or leaping off tall buildings rather than come and sit in a room with me. I mean, Nick, you're chuckling, watch it and swallow, right? So it's fab, isn't it? Because as soon as we begin to just tug at the side of that your system just goes, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? So if you think it's like a hack or an access code straight into the mainframe, and this is fun because if we're watching Timothy, even as he's listening to me, he's gone again. Are you back in the room for a moment? What are you noticing?
I watched the movie, the link you sent me. My girlfriend as well, like, was like, Tim, you're not watching anymore. Now it's happening again. I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry. More, not sorry.
And this
but-
is another reason for chasing you up because I didn't, because of GBT, whatever it's called, we didn't get anybody's emails or anything. Yeah. But for the guys who I did the little sessions with, I wanted to check in with every one of them just to make sure they landed. Yeah. And obviously with yourself, because we did a full piece, but it was a full piece with a couple of edges missing. And when I say missing is because you do a big piece like that, then you just step back and watch how it lands, which is what we did. But then you got to wait for. Hey, Gabby, you made it.
Yes,
Cutest.
I'm in.
Well done.
On
Right.
my phone.
So the key then is, let's think of it like a security code. If you give out access to yourself, now this sounds mad, right? If you give access to yourself, then you might share it with your partner. Does that make sense?
No.
No, nobody ever gets this, but that's all right. I'm gonna do it again, right? You're Jenny, chuckle. Right. Now, when you're a kid and you're growing up, right? It happens to all of us. You have a best friend, yeah? Now, you have a secret. The secret's nothing amazing, as a little secret. But you tell your best friend. Now, as kids are kids, within a week, you and your best friend have fallen out. What does your best friend do with your secret? Tells everyone. Now, what does your subconscious mind make of that? Your subconscious mind says, I can't trust you with secrets. So your subconscious mind keeps it from you. It's safer. It's absolutely bulletproof. If I don't share it with you, then you can't tell anyone else. That way, we will survive. So that is the marvel of family rules. Your dis-ease is a secret that you're keeping from yourself. Now, the beautiful part is when you decide, you go for therapy or you see a coach or a doctor, whatever, when you arrive and you're in their chair, they then say to you, what would you like to work with? Sounds rational, yeah? Now, here's another bullet, Jenny. You're chuckling. Yeah, it's bulletproof, this piece, because no matter what comes out of your mouth, it will have nothing to do with the presenting problem. It's absolutely bulletproof. Your system closes down your prefrontal lobe, or your smart thinking brain shuts off. So whatever blah, blah, blah you bring into the session, and some of you guys are now chuckling because you recognize my blah, 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 right? Whatever that blah, blah, blah is, it has nothing to do with your presenting problem. Now you've got a bigger problem because you're going to spend the next umpteen years paying therapists to ask you to give them a clue. You're not going to give them a conscious clue, because if you had a conscious clue, you would have sorted it yourself. Does that make sense, doesn't it? Now, here's a classic. If you have a problem, now follow my logic. If you have a problem that seems irrational, doesn't make sense, if you go to find a prescription, if you would, or logical process to sort it, then logic says the process that you're approaching it with is the wrong tool. Does that make sense? If you have an illogical problem, you require an illogical solution. Yeah? So when that chap came to me, and I've got a few examples in the book, but when the chap comes to me and his wife's made the phone call and her hair's falling out with alopecia, but she's making the call for him, I invite them both in for the session. Then when he turns up and he's sameness, yeah, like a tin soldier, wonderful chap, 18 years married, 17 and a half years married, almost 18. Why is almost 18 so specific? Why is her hair falling out? And why is he in chronic pain? His legs are agonizing for him, but he still manages to go to work each day. Her hair's falling out. Now, where do you start? Well, this is what I did. I wrote them a little prescription. And on my prescription, I wrote one long weekend in a hotel and do the sort of things that you would expect a rock group to do with each other. No need to come back and tell me any details, but just have a blast. Now, I sent them off. The two of them are very confused, puzzled. What the heck? Off they went. 1 month later, ta-da, they reappear. Her hair's growing back. She's got a sparkle about her. The pain's gone in his legs. But you didn't do anything. I said, I did everything that was necessary. He said, but. So I turned to his wife and I said to his wife, is it okay if I tell him what was going through your mind? And she said, yes. So I turned to him and said, your wife was sadly planning on divorcing you. She went, oh. He's, oh. I said, but it's all right. She doesn't need to now. I said, but you was planning on it, weren't you? And she said, I was tearing my hair out. I said, I know. Alopecia. She went, oh, I never. I said, I know. I said, but why was she tearing her hair out? I said, because you knew there was a problem. So you did what any good die-hard man does. You thought it must be a money problem. So you doubled your hours at work. He said, oh, that's what I did. I said, mm-hmm. I said, but your legs increased the pain. He said, oh, they did. I said, yeah. I said, they increased the pain to prevent you from leaving. Because your wife wanted you with her. I said, and why has it come to this point? I said, because you were planning on leaving after your son's 18th birthday, weren't you? And she went, how did you know? I thought, it ain't rocket science, really. So now, because I know how all of the dynamics work, and I've been at this game a while, I could have begun anywhere and not got there. Does that make sense? But instead, I look at the blueprint. I'm looking at what's the overarching pattern here. Both of them are struggling. So what's the piece? What's the least amount I can do that'll create the maximum impact? That's sort of, does that kind of make sense-ish? I'm looking for the odd nod. See, once I tell you all of it, it all makes sense. But when you're there and they're in front of you and the clock's ticking and people expect their life to change in the next 59, 58, 57, 56 minutes, yeah. But sometimes when they wander in, it might be a lifetime problem for that individual who has, been around the houses and all of that. But sometimes it takes me longer figuring out which one of the many ways I have am I going to use to help them get out of it. You see what I mean? Timothy, back to you. Did that answer anything for you?
It was funny. You started talking before the story. My stomach started. Yeah, exactly. Why are you telling this story?
I don't know, just random. Peggy Marie, I'm just going to Peggy Marie now. Hold that thought though. So Peggy Marie, that reminded me. How's your life turning out at the moment?
My life is great. It's amazing. My energy has completely shifted. It's like I had like an armor around me, and inside was me crying for love and being approved by others. But outside, I was like armed, full armored, and don't come near me, otherwise I will bite your head off. And I wasn't aware of it, obviously, until you got me on stage. And what happened afterwards is I'm still flabbergasted. I'm still every day I remark the difference. I see people in the streets who are approaching me. The other day I was on the Meer, the big square, the main street in Antwerp. I hardly ever come there because I don't like the crowded street. And before, people would bump into me, and now I was there on a Saturday afternoon, and afterwards in the evening I thought to myself, yeah, nobody bumped into me. So my whole energy has completely shifted.
That was a fun one, wasn't it? I thought that there's like 20 minutes ago, and I just bring that one up for a moment. Fascinating. So
yeah, and it's the second time that that it happened to me. First by Brida, and now with you. And 2 times I was like, a few days I was like in the abyss or in the universe, and I was like floating. I was like, it was such a fantastic state of being. I didn't want to leave that place, but after 2 days I was landing, and then I found inner peace. I feel whole. Forever grateful. And also in my work, I'm much more approachable. I'm much kinder to people, which helps me because I can be, we call it izumatak. I can be without judgment. I can be like observing and helping. It's I can't explain it, but it's a huge change. It's
so the fear.
the what?
The fear has.
There's it's like, come on, I'm here.
Now with Timothy, because we talk about peace out, right? It's the difference between a family room. Now a family room is an auditory space. That means some heard. So it's an auditory-based emotional memory image. No, there's a trolley just come. So auditory, emotional. Yeah. Now, what Peggy was visual or emotional. Hard to understand what we're saying.
You're echoing.
I've just noticed that. Come on. Can everybody hear?
Maybe there are too much mics open.
And has everybody got the microphone closed? Yes. Oh, we're back again. That's it. Well done, Gabby. You keep me right. Right. So brilliant. So now we're back again. Excellent. So an auditory-based emotional memory image. So you've probably all read Split Second Unlearning. Yes? If you haven't read Split Second Unlearning, you're probably going to get lost now. But if you Google it, you can get the paper. It's there. So my suggestion is that the mind places emotional memory images in this area in front of us. And when we're chatting to Peggy Marie, then you'll notice that her hands came into this space. And she says, that part, she's now free now. Yeah. Now, before that was blocked. Literally, there's a large emotional memory image sitting, bam, between Peggy Marie and you. Does that make sense? Between Peggy Marie and the outside world. Now, that block just sits there. She's unaware of it, and everybody else knows all about it. Does that make sense? Everybody gives her a wide berth. Now, why or how do you know to give her a wide berth? Oh, I just know. No, you don't. Because as soon as you come too close, her subconscious mind just goes. But she's still smiling at you. But your subconscious mind picked up that tiny. So when I brought on stage, we got 20 minutes. I thought, what the hell? Right, here we go. So I bring on stage, and all I did was set up everything that's going on inside her trance, which is her life. Yeah. So we positioned a guy off in the distance, and then we had him move closer. Now, this isn't a real guy. This is the guy. Right? So as he comes closer, right, and I can hear she go, keep him there, and then all I do is drop in an interruption that breaks the whole piece. As soon as it was broken, that was it. But that is a simple emotional memory image. But it's so simple, it could still impact you for the rest of your life. And you're going to different classes, etc., but it's never removed. But if it's a family rule, there's a difference. And here's the difference. The difference is a family rule is an auditory. So it's basically what you heard your caregiver say to you. And it must be your caregiver, not the next door neighbor. You know what I mean? It's got to be someone who was responsible for your care whilst you were a child. Now, why is that? Well, the simple reason is if they are not caring for you, you will die. Just follow the logic. It's very simple logic. And say, if my work was complicated, I couldn't do it. It has to be kept simple. So when you're dealing with a human being with you, an issue, bless you, an issue, what you're looking at is it a clear emotional memory image, in which case we can work with all manner of tool. But if it's an auditory based, then they will jam. Now, how do we differentiate? Good question. Well, here you could read the freaking book because I tell you, or alternatively, Alternatively, you could come on here for free to save you a tenner or whatever. Right. So anyway, so if it's auditory based, you will notice that there is a tiny little flick, and the lady on my left, who's probably somewhere on your screen, but she's on my left right now, she's very, very good at doing those little auditory checks. That's right, Nick, you just did it while I was chatting. So, right, fab, right, now, if they do a sneaky auditory check like that, right, that's the signal is auditory is primary. So that their auditory system, their listening system is forever scanning. Now, that's in the first instance. So if you know that auditory system is scanning, then all you got to do is flick up something that causes that system to do this. Probably I've got the wrong eyes for it, but basically they'll go like close their eyes and they'll give you a long like that. And if you look just under the eyes, that you'll get flutter, 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 and that's telling you it's auditory. So you're on the hunt for language. Now, the key then is know which words. So as I shared with Andrew, who's in the corner here, and I shared with Andrew this morning, it's up to you when it comes to learning this stuff. All those years ago, a lady called Candice Pert had made some really amazing breakthroughs in neuroscience and how language impacts us and emotions impact us. So with that in mind, I bought a dictionary. Now, when I was a kid, every house had a dictionary. And all I did was, it took a wee while, but all I did was I went through every word in the dictionary. Now, if you cannot be bothered, that's all right. You're not me. I'm quite fastidious with that sort of thing. I went through every word in the dictionary and I just checked how I felt about that word. So if there are any words in there that caused me to go, I worked on just the word. Why? Because when I'm working with a client, I have to be absolutely neutral. So if I'm firing on odd words, the moment I fire, I'm not there for you. Does that make sense? I'm off somewhere else in my own little world, but it's a very clean little user tool. You know, and you can grab a dictionary, and you probably nowadays you get one from a charity shop for about 59p or something. So you're helping a charity, but the beauty of it is, what's the harm? You know, when those nights when you can't get to sleep, yeah, use Mind Reset app, that'll help. But when you can't get to sleep and you haven't used our app, pick up your dictionary and just find out what word you're on and work your way through it. Because you'll be surprised. What about your deletion filter? Oh, what something popped in there? What is it? They're popping up. I can see them popping up. There must be a chat there. Go into there. What did you ask? What about your deletion filter when using the dictionary? Interesting, because I'll read the question out. What about your deletion filter when using the dictionary? That'll still be firing. Correct. So, because you're reading a dictionary, you're noticing, how am I? If you feel the slightest twang, or better still, you feel nothing, you know, like that's a freeze. Either one of them is an indicator that there's some work on that word to do. Because what if the word is related to a family rule? Would you know? What you'd notice is, if it's related to a family rule, you'll notice more of a freeze. You know what I mean? There'd be more of a poker face, sort of an emptiness response. And that would lead us back to Timothy, because the piece that we didn't look at, which is for Timothy to do a bit of homework on, yeah. And that's the other thing. I always say, look, if you're coming to one of our programs, don't attempt to come on a program
to get 20 years worth of therapy whilst you're sitting in the audience. I'll do my best, but I'm here to deliver a program. But people turn up, and sometimes it's a little bit like the Jesus Brigade. Bless you, my son. I mean, it's the way the cards roll. But the piece that was stuck in Timothy's position, I'm going to offer it now live, if that's okay, Timothy. Yeah. So the piece that I knew I'd have to chase you up on is, have a think about it, gang. When we've broken the rule, so there's the individual, now a man. Yeah. So we've updated the childhood hook. So now we've got a man in place. However, that man has got a history that's associated with a problem. So then we've got to look at, who will I be if I'm not me and my problem? My problem is me. Who will I be without that big chunk of me missing?
My stomach is messing up again.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I need to check in again. Nick, well held. That's good observation skills. I'm just watching you, watching me, watching him. That's good. So you probably figured out that I've just done something just then. And if you haven't, that's even more fun, because Timothy hadn't a clue neither. And hopefully Andrew's able to watch this, because he'll be firing questions next week when I see him. So just that piece that we've just done then, Tim, will have an impact. But now, obviously, if we all look at Tim, you can see he has a questioning, puzzled look on his face. And he's wondering, what the heck are you talking about, Matt? Correct? Yes. So that's the thing with working with me. If I get caught, I'm sloppy. You never see me coming. And that's the beauty of it. So now if you look at Timothy, you can see there's a sort of a trance-like look on his face. And if you guys were too busy listening to me and not watching, then you missed it. But it's probably recorded, and we'll see whatever we can do. But what are you noticing now, Timothy?
I'm looking down again.
Processing. Interesting. Kind of cool, huh?
It's
How's you noticing?
it's that kind of scary feeling again.
Kind of scary, yeah. Because what we're looking at is a whole of you. Yeah? That's a whole you. Now, that part of you that we had you let go of was big. You know what I mean? It drove so many behaviors, it drove your attitude, it drove all of that difference. Because you're a difference child. Now, can you still be difference without it? The answer is, of course, yes, but your system hasn't dealt with that yet. Your system's worried that, can you be you without that piece? Interesting. It's interesting also when you notice peace. But when you notice it, you can then begin to let it all go. But that would be another message that your subconscious just received, that you consciously missed. But that's what peace is all about. Fascinating. So it looks like another good night's sleep for you, my friend. Right, now I'll leave you processing and I'll hop back to the group and say, hello. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Nick, I'm chuckling there. I say, hey, I still know what I'm doing. It's amazing, really. Jenny, anything? Jill, anybody got anything they want to fire? No. Timothy, you got a thought in your head yet?
Peace.
Peace. Ah. Funny that, eh? Maybe you see, and that's a challenge. When I open it up again, it really is, it starts to fall apart, because that's the thing with peace. You can't have peace without pieces. And it's only when all of the pieces come together that you think you've got peace, but actually you just got a bigger piece. So any more? Any questions? 10 to 8. 10 to 8. Can you believe we got this far?
Ye-
Gabby, yes.
Yes. As I was at your stage, you helped me out. And I'm so happy that I feel more at ease now. And I'm not making a fuss of things, like when things go different than I think they would go. I just do this, like this. I don't care. I don't care. It's okay. Well, do you want it like that way? So I feel much more peace in myself, not pieces, but peace in myself. But last week I had something like the same problem as I had before, a little bit different. And what I like about it now is that I'm aware of what's happening in my head, and I'm trying to um, not let it in again.
I hear you trying. Yeah.
Yes.
Why
I'm
not?
wondering how I can do that.
Yeah. Because you know how you're very good at trying. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So why not try the trying of it? If you try trying,
Uh-huh.
see, at the moment you're trying,
Hmm.
but I want you to try trying.
Trying.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
think. I have to think about it, what you mean, but
that's good.
take my
Very good.
time. Okay.
Because at the moment you're succeeding
Uh-huh.
at trying. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing trying really well.
Yes. Sort of.
Right,
I'm
I'll give
not
you a quick
happy
example.
totally, but
Right, I'm trying to touch that telephone.
uh-huh.
You see me trying?
You can't get it if you do it yet.
No, but
Oh.
I'm very good at trying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you telling me that you're trying to sort that problem out,
Yes.
which basically means you're failing. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm asking you to do is, can you do your trying about trying?
Te proberen. No, I can't.
Oh, you can.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a problem. You're trying to think. Just stop trying to think.
Okay. Okay.
Because you're trying to think, you're not
Yes.
getting anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you start trying,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying, then that loop that I'm just watching, is it Diane? Yeah. Diane trying that on in your head. Yeah. Everybody, and you think, yeah, that is like you go blind in the right eye, right? It's
Yes.
because you're trying. That's it. That's it, Gabby. Yeah. That's the state
Yes.
you want. That
Uh-huh.
you're trying.
Uh-huh.
See, everybody, oh, I've tried, which basically tells me you failed, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. So what I want you to do is try trying.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if all of you take that one and just live the rest of your life with that one, it works a treat.
Okay.
As soon as you find, if you hear those words come off your lip, oh, I'm trying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you know you've just said, I'm failing.
Yes.
So if you then say, oh, I'm going to start trying my trying,
Mm-hmm.
then the only route then is success.
Aha, now I get it. Yes. Okay.
If you feel to run the thing that helps you to feel, then you get success.
Okay.
Does that make sense now?
Yes,
There you
yes.
go. Timothy's
Ah,
grinning now. He said,
Got
oh,
it.
there I thought Hudson was just a random lunatic. No,
Sort of. No.
brilliant. Thank you, Gabby.
Okay, thank you.
So, any questions at 5 to 8? I think we're so we've got this little group Lisa and I set up. You like it? The idea is we'll ping in and we'll get to say hi to you guys and teach you a little bit about the work. If you haven't read the book, please do, because what we're going to do in a few weeks' time is we'll put a group chat on, but we're going to go into the book. So we'll look at like maybe one chapter, yeah. So then you can email us and say, oh, on chapter 1, you see what I mean? So we've got a few questions in advance, so you can have a look at the book and think, right, which bit don't I get, or what would I want more explanation of? Yeah. So if you keep an eye in the group, and we'll give you, we'll just ping in there, which is kind of cool, isn't it? I love this Facebooky thing, and I'll have understood this a little bit better. So I do agree if everybody's microphone is off. Is my volume okay now? So that's I'll see if I can switch them all off before you come in or something, because that's a brilliant rule of thumb. We all learned it, so that's cool. And any questions with 4 minutes to go? Yeah. No. And obviously some of you realize I could just go on for about 3 months at least, but Timothy.
Pieces. I'm still not.
Yeah, I know. Look, Dad, it looks so beautiful. Yeah. And another thing is never, ever, ever give your client an explanation. Right? For those of you who've done some coaching or whatever, right? Your whatever organization you're in, right, will tell you, oh, we have to have ground rules and we've got to explain to the client, blah, blah, blah. If you give your client an explanation, you are creating a therapeutic mistake. Not my words, Milton Erickson's. And Milton Erickson is the god when it came to hypnosis. So if you give your client an explanation, you are committing a therapeutic error. So, Timothy, back to you. Nice weather for the time of year, isn't it? That chuckle you just heard in the distance. Yeah, John has appeared on the premises. He's been listening away in the distance.
Hello, Timothy.
Oh, he give you a wave. Oh, so the volume definitely works then. So is
Hi, John. How's my friend?
there you go. They're all exactly. Why did I mention it? He's loving it now. Huh? 7. How old are you? 76. 76. Comes on one of 76 years ago. I mean, got to admire the chap. And did I rip into him? I couldn't leave him alone. I mean, especially with a name like John. I mean, anybody knows my 2 clients are usually John and Mary, right? And that's it. I just slipped right there, Nick. That's correct. John and Mary. And I've got a John live, and you couldn't make it up. I mean, it was the punch of every joke, of every case study. Poor John. And he sat there and he rose to the occasion. And honestly, we had a blast. Yeah. So thank you, gang. Thank you for turning up. And if you want to come back in a few weeks, have a read of chapter 1 and ping us some questions, and and let's dive in and get under the belly of it. Yeah. So
If I could have, it's lots of fun.
Bye.
Definitely go. It's fun.
Right. How do I do this?